How many different prisons were you in? Many times, more than
Over
five?
30. Over
Over
30.
30. Okay. So when you realized that you were caught in this pattern of returning to that life, like, what do you tell yourself? Or do you keep, what do you think kept drawing you back to that cycle?
I think it's just an addiction. I
Mhm.
think that you start out small and then, say you make, you know, $5 and then you see a different way that you can make $20. And then you find a different way that you can make $200. And then you find a different way that you can make 2 grand and so on and so on. And then it's so easy to do what you're doing, just like a drug.
Mhm.
You want more. And even
Mhm.
though you have more, you want a lot more. And it consumes you.
Welcome to our I Am Workshop Conversation Series, a transformative journey designed to inspire self discovery and ignite your creative spirit. Today's guest is David Watson, a man whose life took an unimaginable turn when he spent 7.5 years behind bars. But this conversation isn't simply about prison, it's about transformation, resilience, forgiveness, and discovering purpose in the darkest moments of life. Welcome, David, to I Am Conversations. Welcome to the
Welcome,
podcast.
David. So nice to have you here.
Thank y'all for having me. I'm glad I could be here.
So, David, first question. Can you tell us about your transformational experience? And before your life changed, who was David Watson?
I mean, before I was a criminal. And, I went to prison for 7.5 years. I had an awakening. I had a wake up call. And now I would say that I'm a family man, a person that thinks about his choices, a person that, thinks about, for every choice, there's a consequence, or for every choice, there's a reaction. So I guess I'm just, as far as the transformational experience, who I am now, I'm a changed man.
And
Mhm.
before everything happened, before when you were younger.
Before I was even a criminal, I grew up, my mom gave me to my grandparents. That was when I was born. My mother did drugs. I didn't know my father. My grandfather and my grandmother, they taught me right from wrong. My grandfather taught me how to be a man. And about the age of 13, 14, he was diagnosed with lung cancer. With 6 months to live, I kind of rebelled. So I guess who I was, and that's kind of where like the little bit of criminal stuff started, was from me running away to, stealing my mom's car. So I guess before I was a criminal, I was a straight A student. I was in band, track, overall a good kid until that little thing happened. And I guess I transformed into a rebellious kid in the beginning.
Can you please tell us a little bit and walk us through what led you to your incarceration?
They started investigating me in 2014, the Secret Service, and basically, three people told on me. I was kind of a ghost, I guess I could say, and the way I did it, and I really don't want to like super get into the details of how I did it, but the way I did it, I was a ghost. So the Secret Service agent told me that he had been investigating me for, almost 4 years. I think 4,000 hours in the case. And if those people hadn't have told on me, I wouldn't have went to prison.
Mhm.
But, I obviously needed a stop sign. So
So that
regret.
at that point, like, did you kind of feel like a victim of society? I mean,
When I
with
went to prison, yes, I definitely felt like a victim. I definitely felt like I shouldn't be there. I felt regret, like I had messed up by involving someone in my circle, knowing I shouldn't have. And yeah, for sure, I had deep regret.
When you were in prison, I mean, this is very important, kind of like your prison life. What surprised you the most when you went into the prison? I mean, if we could talk, you could talk us through like the first week you were there, the first day that you got here. What were your thoughts, your feelings?
federal prison is a different thing. It's like I've been to jail, I've been to state prison, and federal prison, they sent me to Beaumont, Texas to the medium, which is Buddy Beaumont, is what the nickname for it is.
Mm-hmm.
So as people are telling me about it before I even go there, I'm thinking I'm gonna have to fight, I'm gonna have to protect myself. I don't know. I've never been there. I've never been to federal prison. So, when you first get there and you first go inside, I'm white. So white guy comes up to me and he says, "Hey, is your paperwork good? If not, turn around and just walk out the door, you know." So I learned that it was totally different. They have politics. If you're in your room and you want to cross the room and say the black tables are in between you and where you're going, you have to walk all the way around. So, politics is a big thing in the federal prison. And you have the whites, the blacks, and the Hispanics, and there's really no togetherness. If a fight or a riot breaks out, it's whites against Hispanics, Hispanics against blacks. It's the gang against the gang. It's very dangerous.
Did you ever fear for your life?
I don't know if I ever feared for my life, but there was definitely some close calls where, we're in our cell and we're like, got our boots on, and, we know that when they open that door in the morning, possibly a riot could break out. We have to go hit the first person of the other race that we see, because if you don't jump into the riot or the fight or whatever, you can get disciplined by your own race for not getting involved in that.
Mm-hmm. So it's a completely different rules. I mean, you're out of society. It's like you're in the middle of nowhere where all the rules that we have here don't apply. How did you feel? Did you have somebody in prison as an example, somebody that you
Felt
became a
supported?
friend, that you talked, supportive or whatever, but some kind of support there?
I had a few cellies, that I would talk to and share stories with and trust. And, one was Jimmy, and he's from Louisiana, and one was Clakey, he's from Oklahoma. And, Clakey, to me, he was a model prisoner, so he didn't do nothing wrong. And he was a very good guy to express my feelings towards, express my, what's going on. And he would, give me his take on it. And, so he became a good friend.
Before you were in prison, how many different prisons were you in?
Before I went to federal prison?
Yes. Many times, more than
Over
5?
30.
Over 30. Okay. So when you realized that you were caught in this pattern of returning to that life, like, what do you tell yourself? Or what do you think kept drawing you back to that cycle?
I think it's just an addiction. I think that, you start out small, and then, say you make, $5, and then you see a different way that you can make $20. And then you find a different way that you can make $200. And then you find a different way that you can make $2,000, and so on and so on. So I think that when you have more, you want more. And then it's so easy to do what you're doing, just like a drug. You want more. And even though you have more, you want a lot more. And it consumes you.
Yeah, it's like a drug. It's like heroin or something.
It's addiction.
Yeah.
It's like when you're in a casino, right? You start to win and you have the option to withdraw that money or just keep on playing, right? So your option would have been just, I'm going to keep on playing. I mean, it doesn't matter the results that I made this money. You just kept on going.
Well, I mean, when I would go to the casino, it wouldn't matter if I had won 40,000, 60,000, 80,000. For some reason, mentally, I feel like I guess I can bankrupt the casino, that I'm going to hit another jackpot. And, some nights I would hit, 40, 50 jackpots in a night. And I mean, it wouldn't matter if I had 80 grand in my pocket. I'd be like, no, hold on. I'm not ready to leave, you know? Like, and literally every time I'll sit there until either I'm at zero and lost or I'm still going.
Ah,
Like, there were some times that I actually left a winner, but 75% ish times I left a loser.
well, did you have this question? Well, if you don't want to answer, it doesn't matter. But you have to have like a method because I've heard there's like counting, like in
Counting
jackpot,
cards.
counting cards. This is
I
very
don't
interesting.
I don't play cards. I play slot machines and
Hmm.
I don't really know. I mean, I like to play certain machines and I just have like I don't know if you want to call it a sixth sense, a premonition, or an inkling or something. You know, I'll go to this one machine, you know, I'll put 300 in it. I'll hit it, you know, say 10 times at $30 max bet. If it gives me 48.75 jackpot, now I go to the $25 machine. Once the $25 machine gives me a jackpot, I go to the $75 machine. Once the $75 machine gives me a jackpot, I go to the $100. So there's no method.
Hmm.
I think it was just, I mean, it's luck, but for some reason, I had that luck.
Yeah. Well, but in the casinos, I mean, you were doing something that it was legal. I mean, you were not cheating there. You just had a method. But I don't know if you want to tell our audience a little bit, like walk us through other kind of criminal activity that you were involved and how we can talk a little bit about redemption and your concept of redemption and what are you doing now?
I got in trouble for credit card fraud,
Mm-hmm.
white collar crime. Basically, it was a conspiracy and I manufactured credit cards. I think that's probably the biggest thing for me is trying to show redemption and I have that second chance. So, you know, for me in my situation, it's just trying to give back and trying to keep my life on the straight and narrow and, you know, help as many people along the way as I
Mm-hmm.
can.
When this was happening, I mean, was there a point when you realized I can't keep living this way?
I think that about a year or two into my prison sentence, that's when I finally took acceptance for what I did and, you know, realized that, you know, I can't live this way and I can't be, you know, doing these things because by doing these things, you know, I'm giving up all these years of my life. I'm, you know, losing my mother during COVID. You know, she died. My grandmother died. My aunt died. My uncle died. So I think it was just basically, you know, taking responsibility and knowing that every choice you make, that you know, there's going to be a
There's going
consequence.
to be a
So
consequence.
And did
correct.
your girlfriend stick with you the whole time?
She's my wife, and
She's your wife now.
yeah, no, she was my wife then. She was at my sentencing in 2019. I got arrested in 18. I went to court in 19. They gave me 10 years, and she said 10 years was a long time.
Mhm.
And basically, if it was meant to be, we would, you know, stand the test of time. If God's
Mm-hmm.
plan was for her to stay with me, then she would be there. And, you know, we had a lot of rocky bumps along the road, but, you know, we stood the test of time.
Mm-hmm. What's interesting is, especially in spiritual psychology, well, some people believe that before you were born, our soul chooses what we have to go through in order to evolve. So my question here comes: do you believe in coincidences, or you thought it was a synchronicity, something that you had to go through, so now you can help so many people in this redemption you're working in?
I don't know if I really believe in coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think you know, I've had, you know, things happen where I'm like, you know, didn't I do this yesterday or didn't I visualize this yesterday or something? But
It's synchronicity more than coincidences. I mean, it's something that you had to go through. So you're here now helping so many people in podcasts, in everything you're gonna do right now.
What
What
is
are
the
your
Redemption Club?
Yeah, exactly.
Redemption Club is just showing that, you can change your life, that, and I've had a lot of times of, getting in trouble, being in jail, being in state prison, being in federal prison. So I feel like with Redemption Club, if you've ever been set back, and let's not talk just about prison, but if you've ever had a setback or you've ever fallen down and didn't think you could get back up, join Redemption Club because you can get back up. I have over 28 felonies on my record. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. Just, getting knocked down and you can get back up.
When you're in prison and when you leave, was there any emotional support available when you walked out? Is there adequate rehabilitation during and after incarceration, or?
No, the system's broken for sure. So when you get out of prison, you have to report to the halfway house. They do have an employment coordinator, which, sets you up with, a job and a job fair and job tools. But, if you have a drug charge or you have, maybe a major charge, they have some aftercare programs and things. But, for me, I have white collar crime, basically credit card fraud. And, they don't have, any business classes or,
Counseling?
counseling. I think that if you were to ask for counseling, they can refer you somewhere. But it's just not, I didn't just openly see it, or nobody openly asked me. I mean, I see my case manager every 2 weeks, and she always asks, how are you? How are everything going? How's the family? How's work going? So I guess they take those answers, and maybe that's kind of how they do a game plan for you to go along through the reentry process, because that's the reason for Halfway House. They want you to get rehabilitated and show you're rehabilitated to transition back into the community.
And when you were in prison, are a lot of the inmates alpha, like in control? They feel that they're in control and they have to control others?
Oh, for sure. About 75% of them.
Yeah.
You definitely have like people that have been in there for years, and they don't like the nonsense, and they're not going to put up with it either. But then you also have a lot of youngsters that believe that's the shenanigans that they do on the streets, they need to bring it into prison and still act the same way, and on God, on mama, or Hispanics with keys to the yard, and they believe that they run the yard, and then the blacks believe they run the yard, and then the whites believe they run the yard, and it causes tension and it causes a clash. It is a problem.
Yeah. Well, if everyone's in control and wants to be the alpha, I mean, it's just explosive.
Yeah.
And that's why they try with every race and to have one person that controls everybody. But one person can't control everybody. Now, that one person, he gets other people in different rooms and units that people live in to also be like a number two and control those same people. So it's just kind of weird, like how I seen it, that we band together and listen to one person. Like if he says, go punch that guy, we have to go punch that guy. And if we don't, we get beat up by our own people.
Wow. And it's a rehab center.
Yeah. That's terrible, man.
Yeah.
That's like, I wouldn't want to wake up every day. I'd just be like, ugh.
But
I mean, you never know when
your crimes were to large corporation. I mean, it's not like you were stealing from the poor. So can you tell us a little bit, did you have that self-awareness when you were committing all those crimes, it's like, well, these large corporations, they have the money. What was your thought when you were committing those crimes?
That, like you said, I wasn't hurting nobody. You know, it was a
Mm-hmm.
corporation. They got an insurance company. Their money is backed. And typically, I wasn't using their debit account. You know, I was using their credit card, you know, which
Mm-hmm.
is FDIC insured. There's insurance. Obviously, if they're not using their funds, they're going to get that back. That's what I think.
The other question that for me is very interesting, how did you ever notice the CIA, the Secret Service, was following you, or you just had no idea whatsoever?
I had no idea.
Uh-huh.
I had little pinches, hunches, you know, like be in a parking lot and look across and like feel like somebody's watching you,
Oh,
but then you just try to push it off
mm-hmm.
and go on about life. And then when they caught up to me and you know, they put the folder out in front of me and started showing me pictures, you know, those are some of those situations where I knew I was being watched, but I
In a
didn't
way, did you
really.
want to get caught? Were you tired of it?
Um, no,
It's
because
adrenaline, right?
no, it was addicting and adrenaline because there was people that tried to get me to quit a year before, and you know, I told them that it was too far along and I was too far in it that it didn't matter if I quit now, quit in the middle, quit in the
Mm-hmm.
end, you know,
Mm-hmm.
might as well just keep doing it until I get caught.
Hmm. You had some adventures. I don't know if you want to really talk about it in Mexico and the Bahamas. Can you talk about a little bit or?
Bahamas, I was 19, 20 years old. Basically, you know, went to Nassau, Bahamas and defrauded the country and the hotels there and went to prison. You'll have to stay tuned for the documentary or movie to find out the real details, like of
Mm.
what all happened there.
Doesn't sound
But
like fun.
no, no, for sure not. And I was supposed to be in prison, and you know, by the grace of God, that didn't happen. And in Mexico, I was doing a repo, and you know, it kind of went south, and you know, almost lost my life by the hands of the cartel.
Wow.
What is, sorry, what is a, I'm kind of ignorant in that.
Repo,
What is a repo?
repossession, repo.
Yeah, repossession of automobile. I went to repossess a Tahoe.
Didn't you ever see Repo Man? No.
But repossession of what? Of an automobile is just like stealing a car? I mean, I don't understand.
No, they didn't. They
I'm a
didn't make
foreigner,
their.
so I don't know those
Yeah, they
words.
didn't make their payments.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't make your payments in Texas, two, three, four payments behind, they happen to have a GPS tracker on that vehicle, and they had a key to it, so it was supposed to be an easy repossession. So we drove to Piedras Negras, which is the other side of Eagle Pass, south of San Antonio, and you know, it all went south quickly.
Mm.
We'll have to see the movie for that.
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be.
Um,
People are preparing for that.
do you think people are misunderstood who have been incarcerated?
Some people.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that from my time in there, there's a lot of people that shouldn't be there, right? But then there is some people that should be there. And the people that shouldn't be there, they're definitely misunderstood because the system doesn't listen, it doesn't care. To them inside the system, you're just another number.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they'll yell at you, they'll belittle you because for those people that work inside, they have authority. So, and it may be they're having problems at home and they'll come and take it out on you or, you know, but, you know, excuse my French, most of them are assholes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And your wife, did she know about this activity?
No, she didn't know about the activity. She just knew that, you know, I was taking care of the bills and, you know, I just never told her. You know, I
What did she
tried
think
to
you were doing? What work did she think you were doing?
repossessions.
Oh, the
Okay.
repossession. Okay.
That is very
Yeah.
interesting.
And sometimes I had a nightclub I owned and, pressure washing company. And there were some different little entrepreneurship things that I did during all those years. So as far as she was concerned, that was what, I was doing.
Yeah. And when you were going to jail, did she ever knew you were there, or you didn't tell her?
She knew.
Okay. But what did you tell her at that time?
That, I basically got in trouble for, credit card fraud or, whatever it was. And, basically, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it again. And, forgive me. And, I'm going to try to do right.
And when you got out, like re-entering the outside world, were there some big surprises to you? How was that transition when you got out after 7.5 years?
I didn't see like major changes. Obviously, my son was young and, now he's about to be a teenager and 18. And my other son, he's a mechanic in the military in San Antonio. He works on helicopters. So again, you take 7.5 years from either one, and it's a lot of time I missed.
Yeah.
Like when you're in prison, I mean, do you have some sort of trauma from that or PTSD?
Sometimes
Catch yourself.
No, just occasionally I'll have some recollection of them walking with their keys and hear that noise, but
or nightmares or anything, or
no, not really. I guess I've kind of transitioned pretty good because I typically when I go to sleep, I sleep. So and I get up every morning at 6 a.m. So
if you could speak to your younger self, what would you tell your younger self?
If I was looking at little David,
yes,
just relax. It's gonna be all right. It's a lot of ups and downs, but every choice you make, there's consequences. So just think before you react and just relax. Everything's going to be all right.
And the message for humanity and the audience and the people that are listening to you right now, suppose that this was your only opportunity to leave a message. What would you like the world to remember about what you say right now?
That a lot of people wrote me off and think they know how the story ends, but the story's just getting started and it's going to have a wonderful ending.
That's true, because you have this is your new life. You're the I am, right? It's the new I am David Watson.
For sure.
The new one.
The new one, yes.
Correct. And that's why, I'm rewriting the ending. The ending's not here yet.
Yes. You're going to manifest it. Maglovia usually has really good
cards. Do you want to do it?
For our guests.
Do you want to go for it? I got 2 decks. Okay, this is for David Watson. Let me mix the cards up a little bit.
I don't remember what was the last time, but they're always good.
The Sea of Love.
Yeah. It's what life is having for you. What are you going to manifest?
This one says daydream.
Daydream.
Can you read it?
I don't know if you're a daydreamer.
Sometimes.
You will more easily hear and receive our messages if you daydream regularly. Relax and open your mind to receiving without directing your thoughts. Just notice any feelings, visions, or ideas as if you are watching a movie. This is the seat of creativity.
Wow.
So you get messages from the universe.
For your next movie.
On that one. Yeah, I might have to think on that one.
So
sorry, my
it's amazing. I mean, David, I have so many more questions. I mean, this is like a chapter 1 because your story is amazing. I think it's inspiring. Getting to a redemption through everything you've been there, those 8 years. I can't tell you. I really admire you because you are tough, and the learning experience hitting rock bottom, I think, are the best, and that's part of our show. And there's what I think there's no good and bad. I mean, there's lessons to be that we're learning all the time through life. And so many people need to hear you, because after they go through the same thing that you've gone through, they start to feel like victims, and some people even commit suicide. And you can be the strength right now for all those people that need help.
Thank you so much, David. We really love having you on here.
So,
Well,
All right,
thank
David,
you,
listen,
David. It's
thank
been
you.
an amazing interview, and good
thank y'all
luck with
very much
everything.
for having me.
She's the famous editor.
Let's see it. Let's see the famous.
Yeah, so,
Oh, yeah. There it is.
Oh, it's like a wrist.